So in this video, we're going to learn how to divide complex numbers. So to perform complex division or division between two complex numbers, you use what we call the conjugate of a complex number. So if you have a complex number, let's say z, given by a plus bi, where you have the real part and the imaginary part, then the conjugate of that particular complex number is denoted by z bar is the same as a minus b I. So if there is a plus, then the conjugate has a minus, and vice versa. So let us see how we apply this in dividing two complex numbers. So let us look at this example. Simplify 4 plus 3i over 1 plus 2i. So to perform this division, we are going to multiply both the numerator and the denominator by the conjugate of the denominator. So we're going to have 4 plus 3i, and then we multiply that by the conjugate of the denominator. That will be 1 minus 2i. Then we do the same for the denominator. We're going to have 1 plus 2i times 1 minus 2i. So we can use the distributive law or the distributive property in the numerator, so that we have 4 into 1 minus 2i plus 3i into 1 minus 2i. And then for the denominator, we can apply one of the quadratic identities. So we have a plus and a minus between two similar terms. So here is just a difference of squares. So it means this one will be 1 squared minus 2i squared. So let us simplify this. In the numerator, we're going to have 4 minus 8i, and then we're going to have plus 3i minus 6i squared. Then in the denominator, we now have 1 minus 4i squared. And if you remember clearly, I squared is given by negative 1. So we are going to simplify this with this in mind. So it means what we have here is 4, and you have minus 8i plus 3i, which is just minus 5i, minus 6 I squared, and I squared is minus 1. And then we have that is over 1 minus 4 into I squared, which is just minus 1. So if we simplify this, we're going to have in the numerator, we have 4 minus 5i. So we have minus 6 times minus 1, which is just plus 6. And then in the denominator, we have 1 minus 4 minus 1, that is now plus 4. So that we have 4 plus 6, which is 10. And then we have minus 5i. And then down here we have 5. So you can simplify this so that we have 2 minus I as our final result there. So in example 2, we have simplify 3 over 1 plus I. So remember what we said, that for you to divide, you just multiply both the numerator and the denominator by the conjugate of the denominator. So in this case, 3 over 1 plus I is going to be 3 times the conjugate of the denominator, which is 1 minus I. And you do the same for the denominator. You multiply that 2 by the conjugate. So in the numerator, you just have 3 minus 3i. But for the denominator, you can either use the distributive property, or you could just use the quadratic identities. Like in this case, we have the case where a plus b times a minus b is the same as the difference of squares. So we can apply that for this denominator, so that we have 1 squared minus I squared. So we have 3 minus 3i over 1 squared is just 1 minus I squared, and I squared is the same as minus 1. So it means what we have here is 3 minus 3i over 1 minus minus 1, which is just 2. So remember to write this in the standard form, so that it is 3 over 2 minus 3 over 2i. So on top of that, I would like you to attempt these two. Simplify 3 minus I over 2 plus I, and the second one is 1 over I. Do that and leave your answer in the comment section. Thank you for watching. Please do not forget to subscribe.